Hi everyone, my name is Quinn, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome to my channel, Lucid Moons. I'm here today to do a tag, a VR to Chanel over at Chanel Days. We're gonna do the end of year tarot tag, so we're gonna look at decks used this year, what worked, what didn't, reflect on my practice a little bit, and look at some cards for next year. Just to show off, I decided to do front facing today because like, it look cute. So this is a really cute hat, and I don't know if you can, I have like moon phases on the brim of the hat and some like botanicals so that when you're behind me you can see it and it's like bam. The first deck or the first prompt is the deck you use most. So when I did the mid-year tarot tag, I think I talked about the Next World Tarot, and that's definitely a most used deck for me always. However, I wanted to switch it up a little bit and share another deck that I used a lot this year, and it would definitely have to be the Outgrow Yourself Oracle, Tarot and Oracle by Akta Spaman. This is just such a fun deck. It's an amazing pair. I think it's definitely the best pair in my collection. Like, it just works with so many other decks. And anytime I think that it's not gonna work with a deck, I try it again and it like blows my mind. It's amazing. So I worked with this in like late summer, early fall this year, and it just paired with everything. I had so much fun. I use it as an oracle. I don't use it so much as a tarot, but it's just brings me a lot of joy. It's a really good one. And not only does it pair really well, but the messages are amazing. It tells me exactly what I need to hear. It's sassy, it's spicy, all the things I love in a deck. So that's definitely probably my most used deck of the year. The next prompt is a deck that you didn't use at all, or a deck that you didn't use very often, maybe only used it a few times. I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later, but this year I was practicing tarot in a way that allowed me to get to every single deck in my collection at least once. So not including the decks that I'm gonna use for December and not including the new acquisitions that I haven't gotten to because I'm gonna use them next year. I did get to every single deck in my collection, or I will by the end of the year. However, of course, there's some decks that like just don't speak to me as much. Maybe I only pull it out a couple times, and I'm totally okay with that. Being kind of the way I use my cards. I want to use them all, but obviously some are going to be ones that I want to pull out every day and use all the time, and some are going to be ones that maybe I'll just flip through them a few times, or you know, whatever, just pull them out and do a reading or two. So there's a few decks that I could have chosen for this, but I decided to go with the Playing Card Oracle by Cortez and CJ Freeman. Yes, so that's like a father-daughter team. And let me pull out these cards. It is an oracle of playing cards, and the guidebook tells you how to read playing cards. Oh, let me show the backs really quickly. It's mass market deck. It's published by US Games. I got a big chunky guidebook with it that's signed. It's really cool. I do want to learn how to read and divine with playing cards. It's something on my list, but it's just not something that I have thus far dedicated any time to. So I pulled this out. I drew a few cards. I read the guidebook, but obviously if I don't really know this system, it's going to be hard for me to use this deck. So this would definitely be one that I didn't really use so much. But I think it's really cool. I think the artwork is really unique. CJ Freeman is the artist, and Ana Cortez writes, you know, the guidebooks, and I think it's really interesting. So it's gonna stay. I'm not in a rush. I'll learn it eventually, slowly but surely. So that's one of my lesser used decks this year. Prompt number 3 is your most recent deck acquisition. I've gotten a few in recently, but my most recent is called the Desert Oracle. I'm gonna have to put in the description box below who the creator is. It doesn't come in a box. It just came shipped in a box, and I thought it was really cute, so I'm keeping it in here right now until I get a bag for it. But it's called the Desert Oracle, and I found it on Etsy, and it's really cute. So the fronts are photography, and it has this really beautiful like filter or color palette that's really vibrant, really saturated. And on the backs, it gives you a few keywords. The fronts also have titles. The ring light, man. Okay, let me find the right position. So it's all desert related scenes and animals, and it's really beautiful. It pairs really nicely. I haven't used it yet, but I've played with it with some of my decks, and it pairs really nicely with like all of my Devany Wolfe decks, Serpentfire, She-Wolf, as well as some other ones too. I don't have a lot of photographic style decks. This creator is from Indio, California, somewhere around there, somewhere in the, it's called the Palms Desert. I just drove through there recently on a trip to LA. But if you don't know, I live in Arizona. I was born and raised here in Arizona. I've lived all over the state, and I'm really into the desert. I'm really into the symbolism, the magic. I would like to create a desert themed Oracle deck someday. That's a project for someday. But I saw this one and I was like, wow, this is right up my alley. I really like it. Also, the backs have different colors for each card too. So when you like fan it out, it's kind of cool. I don't have any other decks like that in my collection where there's the meanings are on the back. So I wanted to give an example of like what it says on the back of one of the cards. So this is vulture, which is one of my favorite animals, misunderstood animal. I personally think they're so cute. My partner like is really into like unloved animals or like weird animals that most people don't like, and so she turned me on to like how awesome vultures are. But the back says effortlessness, flow, intention, strategy, and ease. And I love that because a lot of us would think of like death and like rebirth and like things like that, but I love seeing it vultures in this different way because when you watch them, like turkey vultures, they barely flap their wings and they're able to soar to amazing heights. And I don't know, I thought that was really beautiful. I thought that was really touching. So that's the Desert Oracle. I'll put the creator's name down below. So the next prompt is a deck that's not your usual style. So this is a really cool one. I thrifted this. I found this at this really cool little shop here in Tucson. It's called Nexus Occult Books, something like that. And they have some tarot decks there. They have still used decks. Sometimes you can find like out of print decks. And they have a ton of books, a ton of just really cool stuff. They have like taxidermy animals. I saw this deck there and it's called Tarokado, which I think is really cute because it sounds like avocado. And it's a used deck. It was being sold for like $15. And it's totally not, these are the backs. It's totally not my usual kind of style. I tend to go for more like, I don't know what you want to call them, like modern decks. But I was looking at it because you could pull it out and open it up and look at it. And I was like, this is really cool. And I've never seen it before. And I was like, I shouldn't get it. I don't need more decks, whatever. It's not really my thing. But something was just telling me like, this is really cool. I should get it. I think I have it in order right now. Do I? Yeah. And so I just picked it up. I was like, 15 bucks, whatever. This deck is super rare. If you Google it, you can find a little bit of information about it on some blogs, but it's not on YouTube. It's not on Instagram as far as I've seen. You know, maybe I missed it, but I have looked it up and like, it's so beautiful. It's a French deck. It's old. I want to say maybe from the 80s or 90s. Can't remember. But yeah, here we go. I'm gonna skip ahead to the minors are all black and white and they're very psychedelic and very cool. So I'm really glad I picked it up because it's not something I would normally go for, but the artwork is really cool and it ended up being kind of a rare find. So that's Tarokado and it's let me see, Robert Cadot or Cadot, C-A-D-O-T. Super cool. That's a fun one. Okay, so prompt number 5 is your favorite pairing. This was a hard one, y'all. If you know me, you know I love pairing my decks and I do it constantly. I love playing with pairs. I love finding pairings. I'm kind of obsessed. So I really had to think about what was my favorite, and I still don't know if I could just choose a top, but I decided to go with the Last of Their Kind tarot with the Faceted Garden Oracle, because I feel like these decks just are made for each other. Like, weirdly, they just ended up being like a perfect pair. Okay, this is gonna be interesting with front facing. Here's the backs. Even the backs look so good together. Okay, so I'm just gonna do one in one. Last of Their Kind is all extinct and endangered animals, and Faceted Garden is obviously very naturey themes, like that you would see in a garden or out of doors. And so thematically they work, and aesthetically they're like stunning, perfect, gorgeous. So this one's really fun. I've played with it just a little bit, but I'm excited to work with it more next year. Look how gorgeous that is. I've talked about it before. I love this Last of Their Kind tarot. It was a Kickstarter that came in this year. I'm pretty sure it's still available. My one complaint is I wish the guidebook was better. I think if it had like a really stellar guidebook, it would probably be like one of my top decks ever, just because I love this art style so much. And I just find it to be so gorgeous, and I love animal decks. I love a good deck with like one animal per card. It's kind of my thing. Not always, but, and yeah, but the guidebook is just, it's very small print. It's very, doesn't give you a lot. It tells you what the animal is, but like it doesn't tell you if it's extinct, endangered, whatever. So I wish that it did just a little bit more of that. Okay, let's look at one more just because they're so pretty. But you know how I plan to work. Look at that one, looks so good together. I plan to work with it by like using the guidebook as a starting point, and then going and doing my own research, my own studies on the animals. And I think it's really beautiful to honor animals that we've lost. It's really sad, but it's really beautiful. The next prompt is a deck modification, a bag, or any tarot accessory. I haven't really modded any decks this year. I was really into like edging all my decks early on in my tarot practice in my first couple years, but I still have most of those, and like the edging like fades off over time and it looks kind of shitty, and I haven't gotten back to like redoing them. I've trimmed a couple decks really shittily with scissors, and like it's fine, but like it looks pretty trashy. So I did remod my really old Aquarian tarot. I mean, it's not really old. It's from when I was like 19, which was like 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago. So yeah, I remodded it to make it less trashy, but it's still kind of trashy, and I don't have it. I keep that deck at my office space to use for work stuff. So I don't really have that to show, and I wouldn't really be that proud to show it off. I'm not really good at modding. I've kind of accepted that about myself. I don't plan on like buying all the supplies and doing all the things. Like, I'm not really a modder, I guess you could say. Only for special circumstances. And in terms of like accessories, I haven't really gotten very much either. I need to get myself some bags, for sure, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'll just show like a couple things, I guess. So this is a cute tray that I thrifted from like a Goodwill or something. I can't remember, maybe Savers. And it has a little moth on it. It was super cheap. And I just set it on my altar, and that's where I put like some of my monthly cards. Cool, right? I guess. And then these are little card stands that my girlfriend's sister gave to me. And so, oh, I should have grabbed a card to like, let me pull out a card really quick. So I set these on my altar space as well, and you just stick a little card in there, and so it stands upright. And so I usually put my monthly cards like, if they're not laying flat in here, then I'll put them like here. It's cute. I don't know where she got them, but they're cute. And I have gray, cream, tan, and black. So I have 4. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Prompt number 7 is favorite deck backs. I think my favorite backs always and forever will be from the Botan Tarot. This is in no way like a new acquisition for me. I've had this deck for a while, but I just love these backs so much. The cardstock is like this really lovely papery. This is the first edition. It's one of my favorite decks. I've talked about it recently. I'll show a couple cards, I guess. I want to make, I want to make the favorite deck backs video eventually. It's on my list of videos to make. Y'all know how I am. It takes me a while. These backs are just gorgeous. They're my faves forever. So that's the Botan Tarot. Next up is a deck with a great theme, and I'm so excited about this one. I just got in from Kickstarter the Magic Pantry Tarot by Cedar Gardner. Same person that made the Numinous Tarot and the Threadbound Oracle. I got the Threadbound Oracle as an add-on because I don't know why it took me so long. Here's the box, little tuck box. The backs have this cute little like picnic cloth style. And here is the beautiful artwork. So this is a food themed deck. It's my first ever food themed deck, and I haven't done a reading with it yet. Well, maybe I did. I think I did a little reading with it, but I just kind of have flipped through it, and it's all food related. So the cups are fruits. Oh, that's also cup. The wands are like herbs and spices, which I think is really fitting. The pentacles are grains, which I love. And where's swords? The majors are like food groups, things like that. Okay, I'm not getting any. Here's another major. Water. Death is ferments and pickles. I love that so much. I love pickles. Swords are vegetables, I think. Yeah, Queen of Swords is cabbage. Sorry, that was a hot mess showing off the deck, but you get the idea. It's a great theme. It's gonna be really fun. I'm not sure how I'm gonna use it, if I'm just gonna use it like a regular tarot deck, if I'm gonna try to use it for cooking. I'm not talented in the world of culinary artistry. I wish I was someone that like loved to cook, and I'm not, but maybe this can help inspire me to incorporate some new ingredients into my cooking regimen, my very close to being non-existent cooking practice. So that is a beautiful Magic Pantry Tarot. Number 9 is a deck you're in love with. I'm in love with all of my decks. That's why I have so many of them. So the one I chose for this is one that kind of surprises me. I went with the Serpentfire Tarot. This is by Devany Wolfe. And I had the She-Wolf Tarot for quite some time, for several years, few years. And I really like the She-Wolf, but it's kind of one of those ones where it's like, some cards I like, some cards are kind of like, it wasn't like my favorite deck. And I had kind of gone back and forth if I needed the Serpentfire for a while. I was like, do I need this? And I ended up deciding to finally get it because Devany Wolfe was like shutting their shop down and like going on a hiatus, but launching a Kickstarter for an old deck. And I wasn't sure if it was going to go out of print or what. And I don't want to spread like out of print rumors because like fact check me there or someone check me down in the comments. But I was like, ooh, it sounds like this deck might be going out of print like for temporarily for a while. So I'm just going to hop on it because I've been interested in it for a little while. I should probably start flipping. Here are the backs. Batman, my little kitty's playing. I was really surprised how much I love this deck. It has, sorry, the cat just jumped on the table. It has a totally unique energy from the She-Wolf, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a similar vibe, kind of that like very woo, kind of retro 70s, like acid desert, which I love, by the way. Digital collage. But this one is, the colors are so deep and so rich. And I really, really love the depictions of the card meanings in this deck. But it's really cool. and I'm really into it. So that's the Serpentfire Tarot. Number 10 is a deck I wish existed. Definitely, I wish that there was a Studio Ghibli deck. I mean, there is one. I have a Majors Only deck. I've shown it before. It's really cute. But I wish there was like a more officially licensed Studio Ghibli deck with art that was either directly from the movies or more true to the movies, I guess. And that was really well thought out. Like actually well thought out, because the one I have is really cute and I agree with a lot of the choices for the cards in the Majors Only deck. But I saw another one a while ago and I don't think it like came to life. I don't know if they got dinged for like copyright infringement or something, but it was on Kickstarter and the meanings, I was like, no, this is not it. So obviously if it existed, I would be super critical of it because I'm such a fan of Miyazaki's work, of the Studio Ghibli franchise as a whole. So I wish it existed and I wish it was done correctly. We'll see if that ever happens. Maybe someday. I would love that. Next one is a card that sums up the year for you, or a card that you just really like. Hey everyone, this is Editing Quinn. I decided that I wanted to refilm this prompt, which was a card that represents the year, which represents 2024. I just wanted to say all the things that I wanted to say, and I wanted to make sure I said it right. So that's why I'm refilming it. I'm doing it camera down because it's a few days later and I'm not as cute as I was before I just woke up. So the card that I chose for 2024 was Justice. This is from the Next World Tarot. But for me personally, it's Justice in reverse. This has been a really, really hard year for me, but mostly for the collective. You know, my own life has still been really blessed in many ways, but I've come to a lot of realizations and I've recognized so many injustices in the world. You know, I thought I already knew a lot about that before, but October 7th last year, wow, it just really... it opened my mind to a lot of stuff that I was uneducated about before, and it just cracked my heart wide open. You know, first and foremost, the ongoing G-side in Gaza, and then later on, the invasion of Lebanon has been really, really hard to just witness that on my phone, on social media every single day, and just see so many atrocities and just feel like I'm screaming into the void, but so many people just don't care. My partner is adopted and her adoptive family is Lebanese, and much of their extended family currently lives in Lebanon. And so whenever what was going on in Palestine first started, we were really scared. We saw the writing on the wall, so to speak, and then, you know, of course, Lebanon was invaded, and actually their entire family is displaced right now. Several of them have been injured. No one's super close. A few people, like more distant relatives have died. No one super close to them has died, thank goodness. But yeah, including children have been injured in critical condition from bombings. So it's just been horrible. It's been horrible. You know, on top of all that, there's been continual anti-trans legislation being passed or being attempted to be passed here in the US. And on top of that, just an ongoing discourse about transgender athletes, transgender people using bathrooms, so on and so forth. And it sucks. It really fucking sucks that such a small, already marginalized part of our population is being scapegoated for so many problems that have really nothing to do with them. I'm non-binary and my partner is trans, so it affects us, particularly my partner being a trans feminine person, and it affects many of my friends and my community, and it hurts. Like, it hurts to see this. And of course, on top of everything, with the most recent election here in the United States, I've lost friends, like people that I thought I knew, people that I trusted who have changed over the past few years, who've gone down that pipeline from being kind of crunchy, kind of like hippy dippy types to now being like full blown Trump supporters. It's insane. Like I said, I feel like I'm just like screaming into a void and begging people to care about other people. And I do want to clarify that I'm coming from an extremely United States centric perspective right now, so please keep that in mind. But yeah, it's affected me a lot. I feel like our ideas of what's right and what's wrong in my country are completely upside down. And you know, my country, my neighbors, my you know, people that I work with, they have chosen fascism, which is just, I mean, if you look at our history, it's not that surprising. If you look at, you know, the way things have been going, you can see the writing on the walls, but it's still shocking. You know, it's still shocking to know that so many people do not care about other human beings. They're willing, oops, sorry, I just bumped the camera. They're willing to vote against their neighbors, their friends, their family members, their coworkers' interests, and sometimes their own interests, because, oh, it's gonna help the economy or something like that, which is a whole nother topic of discussion. But yeah, you know, through all of these really, really disturbing and difficult times, I'm trying my best to stay hopeful. I'm trying my best to still live in alignment with my highest good. I'm trying to live in alignment with my values. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to speak out. I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to call my senators. I'm trying to, you know, do all of the things that you were supposed to do. I've gone to protest. You know, it's just, it feels like screaming into the void. It really does. And it's been a little bit hopeless, you know, to know that people don't care about other people's suffering across the world. And a lot of people don't care about people suffering right in their own backyard. It's really, really crazy. So I know it's kind of a dark one. I'm hoping that we can shift this imbalance of justice into, you know, fighting for a more fair and just world, and that we can come together, because there's so much division, and there's a lot of infighting even amongst people who really have similar ideas and values. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's been really, really hard year. It's interesting because, you know, numerologically our card was strength this year, and for some, you know, depending on how you read the cards, it was justice. And for me personally, I feel like both came into play in my life and in the collective. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what your card was down in the comments below. All right, on to the next one. Okay, so before we pull a card for 2025, the number 12 prompt is to just kind of reflect on your tarot practice. Now, I'm gonna keep this brief. I'm not gonna gab on for a super long time. I wanted to do a low buy this year. That did not fucking happen. Not even close. I bought even more decks than I did last year. Yeah, so that's something I need to work on. It's something I recognize in myself that's kind of, I don't necessarily want to call it an unhealthy pattern, but it's a pattern that I'm recognizing where I'm not having good control in terms of resisting like the marketing tactics, like it's going out of print, or there's only 5 copies left, or, you know, Kickstarter campaigns, all of those things, right? But at the same time, I'm not gonna beat myself up over the decks that I've acquired, because I got some really fucking sick decks. And tarot cards, oracle cards, they bring me a lot of joy. It's like my special interest. It's a way for me to connect with my spirituality. It's a way for me to connect with my inner child. It brings me happiness. It brings me joy. I'm not hurting anyone, and I'm not impacting my own life in a negative way. I probably could save some more money that I'm spending on all of these tarot cards, all these little decks of cards, right? But it's all good. You know, I'm not going to beat myself up for kind of failing at the low buy year. But I definitely am at a place where I need to slow down. I do not have much more space on my shelves. I don't have more space in my practice. I mentioned earlier that I try to cycle through. I do a monthly like deck edit or a capsule collection, whatever you want to call it. And I try, up to this point, I've been able to get all my decks out on my table at least once in the year and use them at least once in the year. And some of them, it's okay if it's just a flip through or a single reading or something like that, but I want to use them. And I'm getting to a point where now I'm looking over and I have like 15, 16 decks here for the month. And that's just too much. Like I can't really get to all of them. I can't connect to them in the way that I want to. And so I'm currently rethinking what my practice is going to look like next year. Am I still going to do this monthly edit? I'm probably going to do something like it, but I'm going to probably be curating more and doing smaller groups. And it is going to leave some decks on the shelf for the year. And that makes me sad. And I don't want to continue to bring in more and more and more and have more and more sitting on the shelf, if you feel me. So I'm kind of like reckoning with that right now. I'm thinking about what I want my practice to look like, what changes I want to make. And for me, slowing down is necessary. Am I going to tell myself I'm not going to buy any decks next year? I don't think that that's a realistic goal for myself, to be honest with you. But I definitely want to buy less. I'm thinking a healthy goal would be like 1 to 2 a month rather than every time I see a new deck, I want to go buy it if I like it, or every time I I see a cool Kickstarter, I want to back it. It's just hard. I want to support so many cool independent artists. I want all the beautiful artwork. I want all these amazing decks. There's so many cool ones coming out. It's hard to resist. So that's something that I'm working on. But what I will say is that my practice did work really well for me this year. I used my cards a lot. I got a lot out of them. I felt like I got a lot out of my practice. I would like to journal more. I'm getting more into journaling, back into journaling. At this point in the year, I kind of fell off the journal bandwagon, like halfway through the year, which is fine. I'm not like a daily, I have to pull cards every day, have to journal every day. Sometimes I pull cards and I don't journal. That's totally cool. So I want to continue to work with what I have, appreciate what I have, go deep with what I have, and find a little bit of a balance in terms of consumption, usage, all of those things. Please know I'm just speaking for myself. I have no judgments upon anyone. If you have like 500,000 decks in your collection, I'm like, yes, queen. Like, I love that for you. I'm just talking about myself. So that's kind of where I'm at with my deck practice, my tarot and oracle practice. I'm gonna draw a card for the year. I gotta go. So I'm gonna do a quick shuffle. I'm using my Next World Tarot, my big chunkus. And let's see what it says for 2025. Give me a good one, please. It's a scary time for me and my partner, for me and my community here. So I got the 5 of Cups. Am I surprised? No. Okay, so I also wanted to later on talk a little bit more about the 5 of Cups. Because I pulled this card on camera and I was like, it felt like a fucking slap in the face and I wanted to cry, if you couldn't tell. I'm not sure how much of that original part I'll keep in, and I don't know about you guys, but like interpreting cards on camera for me is like really vulnerable, and like sometimes I like to sit with it and then like come back with deeper thoughts. So, I wanted a really happy, super awesome, like, card, like, oh, maybe I'll get, like, the sun, or, like, I don't know, something like that this year after so many hard years. Like, literally, since 2020, it's been so hard. Like, can I get a fucking break? My card of the year for both 2020 and 2021 was the Tower, the one that I just drew randomly for myself out of a deck, if that gives you any perspective. And boy, was that accurate. And I love the Tower, right? Like, I don't think it's like a bad card, but it's a very, tough card to live through, I guess. So for 2025, I drew the 5 of Cups. And this is the Next World Tarot, once again, by Cristy C. Rhodes. And this card is about loss. And you can see there's a person who is visiting a very small grave, and they're leaving a small offering on that grave. It's a really sad card, and I feel like, yeah, I'm not surprised to see this, considering everything I was talking about going through in my reversed justice card of last year of 2024 that I chose. I'm not surprised, because there is going to be a lot of sadness and a lot of grief continuing on in this journey. Losing friendships because certain people don't care about your rights or your partner's rights or just other people's rights in general. And people, those who are already the most marginalized are going to be the ones most affected. I'm trying to stay hopeful, that it's not going to be so bad. I'm trying not to catastrophize. I'm trying to remember to have hope and to keep going. Remember, like, my purpose in continuing to fight the good fight. You know what I mean? And here you can see the 2 cups that are still upright, right? That this person, this figure, isn't really noticing or paying attention to, but there still is that hope there. There still is a reason to keep going. We can honor our grief and honor our loss, and we don't have to run from it or ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist, but we can also still find that beauty in the world and still find those reasons to keep going. And we have to. That's survival, right? Oh, I just noticed actually this one's a cup as well. So there are cups that are still upright, that are still filled. And if we focus too much on this sadness, and if we let it swallow us up, we're not going to be any use. We're not going to get any good, right? So for me, it's like finding that balance in honoring how I feel, honoring the grief and the sadness, while also finding the reasons to keep going and to keep fighting. So with that, I'm going to end the video. Wanted to kind of put a little bit more of a positive spin on this. In the moment when I drew the card, I was like, well, fuck my life. I know you all know how it is with tarot. So thank you so much for watching, no matter who you are and no matter where you are. I hope the rest of your day is filled with so much magic, so much joy. I'm sending my love to you all. Thank you for being here with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.